Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the first webinar in our month-long series of webinars for members and leadership teams, all about BNI Connect. And what we've done is we've broken BNI Connect down into kind of smaller bite-sized chunks and things to show you within the system. The member portion of it is 5 webinars long over the course of the next couple of weeks. Starting with today's webinar, which we're going to show you how a brief overview of what BNI Connect is and just the scale and size of it, but also how to complete your profile, which is really the first step in getting started with BNI Connect. On Wednesday, we're going to be going over the second part in our series. We're going to be talking about the referral process in BNI Connect. And then on Friday, we're going to look how we can really use the global impact of BNI and search for other members and other resources around the world. So that's our plans for the week with BNI Connect. I hope you can join us for all of them, but if you can't, they will be recorded and you'll be able to watch them anytime you'd like to, both from our support site, support.bniconnect.com, or from our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. Now, before we get started with today's presentation, couple of housekeeping things. The first of which is that this is a live webinar. So if you have any questions whatsoever as we're going through the material today, please do feel free to ask those questions. I'll be able to answer those questions either as we're going through or at the end. The way to ask those questions is to please type the questions into the GoToWebinar software. You should see a panel that has come up on the side of your screen. There's a section there for you to enter your questions that way. As I already mentioned, this is being recorded. We're scheduled for about a half hour for the presentation itself, for all the content to go over, but I'm always happy to stay on the calls until every single question is asked. So please do feel free to ask any questions, whether it's about the material today or anything about BNI Connect. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, this whole presentation is not a PowerPoint. I'm going to be going and diving into BNI Connect just in a second, but I did want to just take a couple of minutes to really show you guys the scope and the size of BNI Connect, which I'm not sure a lot of people appreciate when they first join BNI or first log into BNI Connect for the first time. BNI Connect is huge. It encompasses the entire BNI world. Right now, there are 72 different countries listed in BNI Connect. Now, not all of them are fully active yet. Some of them are first starting their first chapters, such as Peru and some places in Africa as well. But as they launch those chapters, they'll be active. I think right now there's 67, I believe, countries that do have chapters in them. Within those, the countries are broken into regions, just like almost like states in the United States, and we have 948 of those. As part of that, there are nearly 7,200 chapters at this point. So hold on a second. Hey, let's get over to the right screen here. All right, can you guys see that now, Steve? All right, it looks like it was showing a spreadsheet before that. My apologies. I told you it was a live webinar, and with live webinars, you have to take the good with the bad. So anyhow, here's some of the numbers about that. As I said, we're in 72 countries, 948 regions. We have about 7,200 chapters and another 1,200 chapters that are hopefully going to be launching soon. As part of BNI Connect, and one of the powers of BNI Connect is that really it takes advantage of all of the data that is input into the system for all of these members, all of these countries, all 180,000+ members worldwide, and we can then display them. Right now there's 39 country websites you may or may not be aware. For example, for those of you here in the United States, BNIamerica.com is our national website here in the United States, and your profile is part of that. We also have 805 region websites. So for example, I'm a member here in the Rhode Island region, and in Rhode Island, we have a regional website. And that regional website is bniri.com. There's also a bnimassachusetts.com and a bniarizona.com and all sorts of regional websites across the United States and around the world. Every chapter in BNI Connect also has their own web page, and right now there's about 6,700 of those. Again, the great thing is they're pulling the information from BNI Connect, so as people update their profiles, the websites are updated automatically. Stats are updated automatically. The chapter roster and the leadership team is all updated automatically. As I mentioned, there's about 190,000 users and 275 active discussion groups in BNI Connect. Now to go along with that, here's just some more geeky stats for you. BNI Connect is a web application. So as opposed to a website, which usually is just going to display mostly static data or content or maybe a shopping cart of sorts, this is really more like a QuickBooks plus LinkedIn for BNI members around the world. This is what we use to manage our chapters. This is what we use to manage our data, what we use to manage our profiles, all the reporting aspects of it, not just from you at a member level, but also at a chapter level, at a region level, at a country level, and at a headquarters level for all of the people around the world. There's almost 1,000 individual pages, about 120 reports. One of the things about BNI Connect that also makes it sometimes hard to develop is that we have to translate it into 47 different languages. That's about 25 individual languages like English and Spanish and Dutch and French, and then we have another dozen dialects. For example, we have the UK version of English and the Canadian version of English and the South African version of English, all which have their own special terminologies. Dozen different programming languages, about 1 million lines of code, and all sorts of other things. But really what makes BNI Connect so great is that we have really taken the concept of local business and global network and taken it to such a humongous scale. Before BNI Connect, when I first joined BNI in 2002, if I wanted to get in touch with somebody in my chapter or across town even, or let alone in another state, it was really hard for me to do so because we didn't have this common platform. Now, at my fingertips, I can get in touch with any BNI member around the world. I can look up their profile in BNI Connect or on the regional websites and get in touch with them. That is the power of networking right in your hand. Now, before we start reaching out to other people, though, the one thing that we do need to do is to go in and make sure that our profiles are updated. And that's what we're going to do now. Let me first show you what a profile looks like in BNI Connect. Now, Laura says she's losing sound. How's the sound for everybody else? Does everybody else keep losing sound? Laura, it might be a bandwidth issue where you're connecting in. You may want to try to log out and log back into the webinar. I'm getting reports from other people, about half a dozen other people, saying that the sound is coming through pretty good. So apologize for that. You can always try calling in with a phone connection as well. So. All right, so moving on, here we go. This is the home screen in BNI Connect. Before I show you that, though, let's take a look. What does our profile actually look like? For that, I'm going to go and open up another web window here. And let me go to bniamerica.com. I am a member here in the United States, so this is our country-level website. So here on the country BNI website, I can go to find a member here. And if I do a search for myself, Jeremy Walsh, I can pull up my profile here and see that I'm in the Wakefield chapter, and it has all this information about my business. It has all my Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all my social media links. It's got my phone numbers. It's got my website. It's got ideal referrals for me. It's got a My BNI business description. So a ton of information about me. Now, if I go to our regional website, that would be bniri.com, or if I'm logged into BNI Connect here, I can click on this regional website button at the top. That'll bring me there as well. Very similar look and feel to that website. But if I go to find a member here and do a search for myself again, of course you can search by categories and things like that too, but I'm just going to do a search for myself. It's the same profile here as well. Now, as I mentioned, every chapter has their own web page. If I go to my web page for my chapter, the chapter website, up here we have a Meet Our Members page, and here is my profile here. Again, the same profile, but what's great about it, there's 3 unique links, 3 unique URLs that are all displaying my profile. That's just a little bit more SEO, a little bit of visibility out there for each and every one of us that are members. So how do we get that information updated? How do we make sure that we're looking good whenever somebody finds us? Well, for that, again, we do have to log into BNI Connect. Now, on the inside of BNI Connect, which is where I am now, you have a profile for members as well. So when other members find you in BNI Connect, you will display a little bit more data than we do when we're looking for people on the intranet. So a couple of different things you can do. If you want to see your own profile, scroll down to the bottom and click the profile button, or just do a search for yourself. The BNI Global Directory, where you can look for any member in the world, is this magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner. And if I do a search for myself here now, Jeremy Walsh, this will pull up my member-to-member profile. So this is what I look like to other members within BNI Connect. And you'll notice it looks very similar, at least the first page of it. It still has this video that I uploaded into my profile, but it also shows my keywords so members can see the other types of things that I do. My company name, my logo, it has a bunch of different phone numbers. The email address and social networking links, my address information. And what's unique about the profile here in BNI Connect is that there's additional tabs along the top that we don't have on the public site. One of those tabs is the Bio tab, where we can see weekly presentations, the Gains profile, and the Tops profile. You can also see the other people that we're connected with. So just like in LinkedIn, where we can see people's first and second level connections, we can actually see all levels of connections here as well. And these are all clickable. You can click through those and go look at the other person's profile. We also share testimonials within BNI Connect. We'll get into that particular portion on Friday's webinar, How Do We Give Testimonials? There's a brief photo sharing library here. And this is the groups functionality, where you can see what discussion groups people are taking part of, and also your training history, a little bit of a credibility building portion there. So to update all this, if you happen to be on this page, you can click on Update Profile My BNI page, or if you've just logged into BNI Connect for the first time, on the home screen, there's also a thing that says Update Profile My BNI page. From any page in BNI Connect, you can also go to Options, My Account. And again, this is going to be the same. No matter which link you click on, it's going to take you to the same place. And that place is the Edit Profile pages. And you'll notice that the Edit Profile pages are very similar to your internal member-to-member profile. It's broken into tabs along the top here. We have our Main Profile tab. We have our User Profile tab. We have our Contact Details tab, our Account Settings tab, the Bio. If you happen to be a director consultant or a regional admin or anybody with a region level role, such as an ambassador, you'll have a director profile. And finally, you have your training history. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through all of these tabs and kind of see what's on them and hopefully give you guys some tips and tricks for good things that you might be able to put on each of those. Now the first tab here, again, this is your main profile tab. There's some basic stuff, your name, your company name, things like that. The name and the company name, generally speaking, you can't edit those yourself. And the reason for that is that the regional office has to make sure that it matches the paperwork that they have on file. So you usually have to request a change to your name or your company name, and they'll be able to get that updated for you. Moving down a little bit, you'll see that there's a thing, Registered Tax Office and VAT Reference Number. For those of you in the United States, we don't really need to do anything with those fields here in the U.S. Registered tax office is something that I believe people in Canada and possibly in Australia and New Zealand do need to have on their profile for recording purposes. And the same thing for the VAT reference number. The VAT reference number, that's essentially the your sales tax ID if you happen to live in the UK and some other countries. But again, here in the United States, we can leave those fields blank. Moving down, I'll show you your industry or classification. Once again, that is chosen from a list that's available in BNI Connect. If that seems to be incorrect, please work with your regional office, your director consultant, or your regional admin, or your executive director. They can really show you, they can work with you to get that changed if necessary. Moving down into the My Business and the keywords, and this is really where it starts to, you need to put a little bit more time and effort into these two fields. Now, the My BNI Business, or the My Business, is the way I like to think of it. If you're at an open networking for your chapter meeting, or you're out at a networking event or something like that, and you meet somebody for the first time, that's kind of what you want to put into the My Business. It's really your way to introduce yourself to somebody that's really never met you before. And there's going to be a lot of those people that look at your profile that have never met you before. So my recommendations here are to keep it short and sweet. One thing that you'll notice if you look at My Business here, you'll see that it has a bunch of HTML code in it. This is one of the very few places on BNI Connect where you can do some formatting and some other things with that My BNI Business. Now for me, I've gone ahead and put the link to a video in there. Now it's a video that I've hosted on YouTube. You do have to host the video on some type of a hosting service. YouTube offers free accounts as well as Vimeo, and there's other free hosting solutions out there. And the nice thing with both of those is that what they offer is called an embed code. Usually it starts with something like iframe there and ends with iframe. Now they make that code for you. All you need to do is to go to the YouTube video and get the code off of their website, and if you copy and paste it into the My Business, then a video will be displayed on your profile as well. It also works for if you want to do spacing or bullet points or things like that within your My Business description. The next thing here is the keywords. Keywords are really important because they help people find you when they don't know your name. One thing to understand is that BNI Connect is a database, and when we're doing a search in BNI Connect, it's kind of an old-fashioned traditional database search, or like if you're searching in Word or Excel or something like that. So that means that it's more of an exact text-based search. We have been over the years really spoiled by Google and Bing and Yahoo and all of those other big players that have these billion-dollar algorithms that do a great job at guessing what it is that you're looking for. Again, BNI Connect it's a database, so you do have to be a little bit more exacting in your words, and that's really where the keywords come into play. So when we do a search in BNI Connect, if we're doing one of those simple searches, it is going to search against your name and your address and your category and your profession and things like that. But that only holds so much data, so the keywords can really supplement that. One good strategy when it comes to keywords is to make sure that you put in complementary words to your profession. For example, let's say that you're a bookkeeper and it lists you as accounting bookkeeper. You may want to also put the word bookkeeping in your profile because some people may be looking for bookkeeper, some people may be looking for bookkeeping. Other things you can do besides obviously putting other words in there is to do things like put in your location. So if I live here in Rhode Island, and if you've never been to Rhode Island is a very small state. And what that means is that we tend to do business over the borders in Connecticut and Massachusetts. So I have other keywords in there that are the other nearby states, MA and CT for Massachusetts and Connecticut. That works in really big states too, like California or Texas. You may want to put in other names of towns or counties where you wish to be found in searches for doing business there. If you make any changes on this page, do be sure to click the Update button so that your changes are saved. And by the way, changes are immediately pushed to all the websites. There's no real lag time there because every time somebody visits the page, it's actually pulling the data live from BNI Connect. So it will, the very next person that goes to any of your pages, they will see the new information. Keywords, on the other hand, those do take about a half hour to get recached into the system. So if you make changes to your keywords, you may not see those results right away. As I said, it takes about 30 minutes or so. Don says the picture is blurry. I'm not sure if other people are experiencing that as well. Don, that usually happens when when you're having a bandwidth problem and it's not getting the whole picture across, or it's bringing it across in a lower resolution. All right. You should be able to also review the video afterwards, which should be clear, I believe. All right, so the next tab here is your user profile. And the user profile is really, that's your username and password and picture. That's really all there is to this one. For those of you that may ever wish to help somebody log into BNI Connect, or maybe they've lost your password, or maybe someday you'll lose your password, it's really important to have a good, memorable question and answer, because that's going to be the challenge to reset your password. If you haven't seen the password reset process, and maybe you want to help one of your fellow members get logged into BNI Connect, here's how the password reset process works. Just opening up BNI Connect in a new window here. Now right here on the home screen, if you don't know your username and password, it says forgot password or username. So you can direct your fellow members there. The first thing you have to do is put in your email address and the CAPTCHA code. Once you click Find Me, it'll search to see if your email address is in the system, and then it will ask you your question. Oops, I guess I have to type the CAPTCHA code in correctly first. There we go. So now it has asked me my question. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? So I need to make sure that I answer that correctly, and then it will allow me to reset my password. Keep in mind that this is case and space sensitive. So if you decide to put in the abbreviation for the street you grow up on, and you put in ST instead of spelling out street, or you have a capital S or a lowercase s, all of that is taken into consideration when giving the answer. All right, you can also choose your language. As you can see here, as I mentioned before, BNI Connect is translated into a whole boatload of languages. And finally, you can upload a picture or a company logo if you'd like to change out your picture or logo, or put one in there. I'm going to do, for example, change company logo. This will allow me to click on the magnifying glass and go and search my computer for another picture. So I can go look for a new logo on my computer. And let's say I'm going to take the white one this time and upload that and save it. And now I'll have the new logo as part of my profile. All right, and as always, if you change anything here, please do make sure you click the Update button before moving on to the next tab. All right, so the next tab, the most important thing that you can do on this particular tab, which is the Contact Details tab. Here it says, Show me on BNI public websites. Show me on BNI public websites. If I uncheck this button, I will not be able to be found on the regional website, the country website, or the chapter website. I'll be taken off the rosters on those public websites. And even if somebody searches for me by name, they won't find me. For example, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this and save it. All right, and I'm going to go back to my regional website and go to Find a Member. And I'm going to search for myself. All right, we found 3 other Jeremys, Jeremy Doran, Lori, and Von Flattern, but my name does not appear anymore. Even if I go to find a chapter, I'm going to put my chapter in. And if I go to my chapter roster here at the bottom, I am no longer listed. So it goes Jane, Janet, Jessica, John. I'm no longer listed under the J's here. So you notice it says 44 entries, even though we have 45 members. It has taken me off of that list. So you want to make sure that if you want to be found, have that box checked. Now once that is checked, then you can make some other options down here. Do you want to show your phone number, your direct number, your home, your mobile, all of those different pieces of information? You can also put in all your social media addresses and things like that. And then finally at the bottom you have your physical address. Now there's a lot of people, especially in BNI, that you may have a home office that you don't necessarily want your home up here on BNI Connect or up there on the regional websites for the whole world to see. If that's the case, what I recommend doing is taking out the first line and just putting in something like by appointment only. And that way you can still have your name, your city and your state and zip code listed, but not have your physical street address. All right, the next tab over is your account settings tab. So all these settings have to do with on the public website. The first thing you'll see on the settings tab here is your member-to-member settings. So that is, once people log into BNI Connect, what information would you like to share with them here? Keeping in mind that it is all BNI members and only BNI members that have access into BNI Connect. My personal recommendation is to, I share everything with everybody here in BNI Connect. One of the reasons I do that is because, especially when it comes to your contact details, which is your phone number and everything like that, if you're not sharing that with everybody and you have to wait for a connection, you could be potentially missing possible referral opportunities. Because as people do searches within BNI Connect, they need to be able to contact you right away. So my recommendation is to set that to all. Maybe you want to only show your email address to my connections, although I know myself personally, I'm not that worried about it because my email address is on probably tens, if not hundreds of websites out there on the internet. The next thing is the group post. So as you're participating in groups and discussion groups, or if you decide to lead some discussion groups, you can choose how often you get an email reminder. When activity happens, personally, I go with every time a new post is added so I can stay right on top of the discussions, but you can choose once a day or even once a week. And then down at the bottom is the different social media interactions within BNI Connect. So when somebody sends a connection request or when somebody gives you a testimonial, would you like to be notified in your regular email about that? And you can choose yes in which cases you'd like to receive those. And of course, click update if you've made changes. The next tab is the bio tab. So the bio is your traditional bio. This is the one that usually your secretary treasurer chases you down for right before your keynote presentation or your feature presentation at your chapter meeting. Now, if you fill it out in BNI Connect, you can kind of set it and forget it, so to speak. You can put it up there and only have to update it when pertinent information changes, and your secretary treasurer should be able to get that right from BNI Connect instead of chasing you with a piece of paper. You also have the opportunity to put a few weekly presentations in. So you can put a couple of 60-second commercials, type them out, or this is another place where you could put a video if you'd like to. We then also have the gains profile, goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. We are taught in our member success program that we should be doing a gains exchange before every one-to-one in order to make it that much more effective. Now, if you have that in BNI Connect, you can essentially do that just by looking up somebody else's profile. And finally, we have the TOPS profile. The TOPS profile is the one that if you have a very limited amount of time, fill that one out first. And I say that because that is the one that appears on all of the public websites as well. So whereas the gains profile and the 60-second, the weekly presentations, those are internal to members only. The TOPS profile is displayed on all those public websites. So do that one first. Make sure you click Update. All right, if you happen to be a director, you can put your director-specific information, your director-specific business and TOPS profile and things like that, and all your director social media links. And finally, the training history. That's something that is automatically updated as you attend trainings in your region, such as the Member Success Program. So if you do find things are missing from here, please do make sure that you go and speak with your regional office. They can manually update things in this list. All right, and once you're satisfied, you want to go check it out, go ahead and click the profile button at the bottom if you'd like to jump over, or go and search for yourself using the magnifying glass to see what you look like. So I can search for myself, and once again, we can review the profile. All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour. It is 3:30 here on the East Coast of the United States. What I would like to do is to open this up for any questions. If anybody has any questions whatsoever, I'd be happy to answer those questions now. While you're thinking of any questions, just a couple of other resources for you. Again, our very next webinar, the next part of this series, is going to be on Wednesday. So this Wednesday, November 11th, it's Veterans Day here in the United States, but we'll be doing a webinar on Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time or 12 noon Pacific Time. That's also 8 p.m. GMT. We're going to be talking about giving and tracking referrals. So how do we use the online slips in BNI Connect to record your one-to-ones, your thank you for closed business, your CEUs, and, of course, your referrals. And then Friday this week, we're going to be talking about connecting with other members. Same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 5 p.m. GMT. And next week, we're going to be doing step 4 and 5 on Monday and Tuesday, the member tools and reports, and inviting and registering visitors. Now, if you can't make all 5 of them in the next couple of days, you can always catch the recordings anytime you want to. Just go to the support site. Now, you get to the support site by clicking up here in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see this question mark. Click that question mark. It will bring you over to the support site. Everything in BNI Connect is documented. This is where you're going to find it. You'll also see our series of webinars, and here you can register for them. You can even register for any of them in December as well. But if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see chapter training. And every little thing here is documented. You can find walkthroughs. For example, let's say the email a visitor invitation. You want to take a look at that article. So you can see there's a nice little video here. There is a place where you can step-by-step walk through and what to click on and what everything means, and see what the visitor invitation actually looks like in there as well. So check out the support site for all of that information. And here you'll see the recorded webinars. So we have all of October's webinars recorded here, and pretty soon you'll see the November series of webinars. And you can click on any of them, watch them here, or you can always go up to our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And here's where we have our entire series of webinars, as well as other things like short education moments. You know, very short 3 to 5 minute videos that you can use, for example, to teach your chapter about certain things like passing slips. Finally, I'd love it if you gave us a like on Facebook. You can follow us there as well, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global, and we do all sorts of things, tips and tricks. I just announced this week's webinars up there, so you can always check it out and follow us up there if you'd like to be notified. All right, do we have any questions whatsoever? Don says, can you go back to the training history? Do we enter that ourselves, or is this done by our local leadership team? So there's 2 parts to that, Don. The first of which is this training history that appears on your profile here. This one is not done by you. That one is done automatically by your region. So as you attend events that were set up through BNI Connect and they go and they mark you as having attended, then that will automatically update this part of your profile. And if things are missing here, if it's still within a day or two or something like that, or a week of taking, let's say, the Member Success Program, just give your region some time to update their records. However, if it's been longer than that, what I would do is call your regional office or your director consultant and say, hey, I'm missing the Member Success Program, I'm missing this advanced training that I took. So they can add that manually. Now, as far as CEUs go for your chapter, that you want to make sure you go back to your home page. CEUs are input separately, so you do have to put those in on their own. And if you go to submit a CEU slip, you may want to go and do that today. Input one, give yourself 1 credit for today's BNI webinar. So go in, give yourself 1 credit, click submit for today's CEU for today's webinar. Does that answer your question, Don? Vicky, it's the Facebook address. Vicky says, can you repeat the Facebook address? And that is facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. So BNI Connect Global. RJ says, to change the category of business, do we have to make that request to BNI? So that one, if you need to change your category, that one you do have to work with your leadership teams. You have to work with your membership committee. There are a limited number. Granted, there's about 600 or 700 of them that are currently listed in BNI. So if there's a better one on that list that they can put onto your record for you, they'll be happy to do that. If there's not something on that list, they can always make the request to the national office. It has to come from your executive director, but they can make the request to the national office in order to get that updated. All right. Cool. What other questions? I think that was the last question. All right, if there's no additional questions, I'm going to, oh, hold on a second. Belinda says, can you go over weekly presentations? So what would you like me to go over with weekly presentations? What to put there, or what a weekly presentation is, or where to update it? Okay, so the weekly presentations, I mean, that's what we do when we stand up on a weekly basis in BNI, and we go around the room and say, okay, this week, my name is Jeremy Walsh, and this week I'm looking to be introduced to this person, and here's why I'd like to be introduced to them. So those we record them on our profile, and still we go to update profile, and those are going to be located on the bio tab. And on the bio tab here, we can basically click in onto the weekly presentations, and you can go ahead and enter them. Now, on these fields, you can do one of two things. You can either type them, or you can also put a video in here. Again, you could type them out, or you could put a video in there by using the iframe, the embed code from someplace like YouTube. So if you'd like to use an embed code, if you'd like to, let's say, record yourself, you can even use just your camera, your smartphone, if you happen to have an iPhone or an Android or anything like that. Record yourself giving a 60-second presentation and upload that, create a YouTube channel. So for example, I have the BNI Connect YouTube channel. And for all of these videos we have uploaded, so I could just go and, for example, if I go to this video, right below the video it says add or share. If I share this, I don't want the link. What I want is this embed code. And I would just copy this and paste it into the weekly presentation. And then when somebody views my profile, they'll see the video in there as well. There's only room for 2 weekly presentations at this time. So you can see here I have 1 weekly presentation written out, and it's also including the video that I just put in there for the video link. All right. So does that answer your question, Brenda and Judy? Judy had a second question. She said, is there a way to see the 600 different job classifications? And the answer to that one is not really. There's no easy way to see those. However, your regional office does have a hard-coded list of them. They have a Excel spreadsheet that's produced from the system, so they may be able to send that off to you to review it. I know in our region, we do have that shared in our document library. For those of you that may not know where the document library is, what we do is back on the home screen, you also have these links over here. If I go to My Network, there's a document section, and here, again, our region has put in the U.S. categories list that I could download from here. If you don't have that in there, just talk to your regional office about maybe putting that in there for you. So Mark says, can we add personal and business versions of the social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, things like that? Sure, you can do whatever you'd like there. Now here's the thing about that. When they built the system, they gave you the opportunity to basically put one of each type in. So I already have a Facebook here, so you'll notice that it's not going to let me add another Facebook. It just doesn't let me put another one in. However, I can put in another one that isn't on the list, such as Picasa. So here is where you can put in your secondary Facebook, or you notice here I have 1, 2, 3 different Facebooks. I have my business one, I have my BNI Connect one, and I have my personal one, business one, and my BNI Connect one. Now the thing is that although they have these labels, those labels don't really appear anyplace important. On my profile, they're not appearing. So if I go over to my profile, as well as if I go to I'm just going to Google this. Here you'll see that it doesn't have the label in front of them. So I've kind of taken advantage of that, and you can see I have multiple Facebook ones, multiple Twitter ones without, and again it doesn't display here either, it just shows the links. So that's what I would recommend doing. You can just use a different title, a different header for them. Does that make sense, Mark? I've been also thinking about maybe changing those to just say link number 1, link number 2, link number 3, or something like that. But all right. Belinda says, so I'm assuming we should be updating weekly presentations as we change topics. I don't necessarily think you need to update those every single week. I mean, I don't update mine every single week. What I would do is pick a couple of stellar 60-second presentations. Maybe your dream referrals, or ones that you've been working on for a long time, or just ones that are really interesting and cool that people are going to be drawn to, and then putting those ones up there. That would be my recommendation. Changing them every week. Of course, if you want to do that, I don't know if although the profiles are used and people are looking at them, I don't know if they garner quite enough traffic to change them on a weekly basis for that amount of putting that much work into that portion of it. Maybe a couple of times a year change them out, or maybe once a quarter or something like that would be a good idea. Does that make sense, Belinda? Does that help? All right. What other questions? Any other questions? I love questions. I answer BNI Connect questions all day, so it's nice to do it with a real live audience. All right. Going once. Going twice. All right. And at this point, I'd like to say thank you guys all for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. A good referral for me is to please let people know about Wednesday's webinar. This Wednesday, again, we're going to be talking about the online referral process, Wednesday, November 11th. You can get the link to register either on the support site, support.bniconnect.com, or click that question mark in the upper right-hand corner. Or you can always, if you're in the United States, go to your regional event calendar, and they'll be listed there as well. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon. Happy connecting, everyone.